I was told by a sports card show promoter that if I showed up to his show that I would be escorted off the premises. And keep in mind, this is a show that I've set at before. So you guys tell me what you think in the comments below for who you think was right. And we're going to get into today's conversation that I had with him and what exactly happened. One more thing too before we jump in. Thank you to everyone that has subscribed over the last 28 days. It's been over 150, 160 people. As of right now, maybe by the time that this comes out, this will have changed a little bit. We're at 862 subscribers. We're getting close. Trying to hit 1,000 by the end of the year. If you can help me out in any way, shape, or form by clicking that subscribe button, liking the videos, dropping a comment below, or hitting the notification icon so that you get notified when other videos drop, that would be fantastic. And let's go ahead and get started. I've said this before and I'm going to say this again, but the only thing that we really have in this hobby is our reputation. And it seems like some guys are just willing to ruin their reputation over these smallest little things. And it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Now, the person that we're talking about today actually is not only a sports card show promoter, but has also opened a sports card shop in the area where this show took place as well. So from a business standpoint, this just doesn't make any sense. All right, now for the rest of the video, I am going to put the screenshots up on the screen so that you guys can read through. If you want to pause anything, go back and review it. You can read through the conversation that took place on Instagram between myself and the other person, just so that you know I did not chop this up in any way or change these messages. I just broke them down one by one so that we can kind of talk through each point that was said. However, there were only 5 or 6 messages exchanged in the entire conversation back and forth. After I received back the last message, which included the threat of me being escorted out, I decided that I wasn't even going to respond to that. So I decided to block this person on Instagram so that we have no more communication. Obviously, I do not plan on going to any more shows that are put on by this person, either as a vendor or as a customer at this point. So I thought that was the best course of action just to avoid any further conflict. All right, so here is the first message, and this conversation took place between myself and a guy named Travis, who is part of the founder, owner, whatever you want to call it, of Boiling Springs Sports Cards. Again, I believe that he has a shop somewhere down around Spartanburg, South Carolina. I have not been there. I don't know anything about the shop. I think it's somewhere in that area, though. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, or if you guys know. This is what he goes by on Instagram. It's Boiling Springs Sports Cards. But this is the first message that happened, and just to give you a little bit of context here as well. So there was a show that was happening in Spartanburg, South Carolina this last Saturday. This was 1 week ago Monday, so the Monday prior to the show that I reached out. I said, hey, I'm going to give up my table this weekend. I'm just going to come as a buyer one day, and then I want to hit up Winston as well. For those of you that don't know, Winston-Salem, there was another sports card show going on. So Winston-Salem is about an hour north of where I am. Spartanburg is about an hour south of where I am. I didn't realize until a couple of weeks ahead of time that there actually were 2 shows going on in the same weekend. To be able to show respect to both of the promoters and everything in both of the shows, I've actually set up with both guys before. I wanted to go to both shows, so I wasn't actually going to set up at Winston-Salem. I was only going there as a customer. As you can see here, I said I wanted to come as a customer one day, but also wanted to go to Winston-Salem as a customer one day as well. So I was just trying to hit up both shows. So that was the first message between us, and then here is the second one. All right, so the message I get back says, table fees will be due unless I get your table covered since you are canceling the week of the show. As you can see from my reply here, I said, LOL, you can't be serious, dude. Looking back on this, I think this is probably the one mistake that I made in our conversation by just saying this and not really elaborating on this. But again, this is kind of how I was feeling in the moment. I just kind of laughed to myself and was like, you can't be serious that I would still have to pay for a table even though I'm not going to be at the show. And just to give a little bit of context to that, I've talked to Travis and the 5 other promoters that I've worked with in this area in doing shows. And every single one of them, especially over these last 2 years, has mentioned that they have a waiting list of people to get in to be a vendor or a dealer at their shows. So I wish right here in this part of the conversation that I had elaborated a little bit more and just said, you shouldn't have a problem getting my table covered since everyone seems to have a waiting list. I didn't do that though. This was my only message back, and then I received the next one. Then he says back, yes, I have to pay for tables and a venue, randomly canceling less than a week prior to the show. If I am not able to get your spot filled, you are responsible for what you reserve. This part I do completely understand, but as you'll see from my next message, I do try to explain the situation a little bit more. So let's go over that first, and then we can talk about this in its entirety. So this is the part where I try to explain a bit more and just say that, you have to pay for the venue regardless, and your cost isn't based on how many tables you can get into the place. So for these show promoters, they go and they rent out this big area, right? So for this one, for example, it's at a fairgrounds. It's a very big building, and so they can put in however many tables they want. They could do 20, 30, 50, 100, however many they can fit in there. And I said, you're welcome to ask whatever you want, but it's an awful look on you. We have so many shows and so many promoters now around the area that I wouldn't be telling people this. And that's, again, referring to if you bail out that you're going to still have to pay. And if you want to be like that, then make your dealer sign a contract because I have no obligation to do your show. You could have just said, it's okay, I'll catch you next time, and that would have been much better. I've had similar things, kind of come up last minute with other promoters and told them I wasn't able to make the show. They all kind of give me that answer where they say, it's all right, I'll catch you next time, don't worry about it. And they know that they've got a list of people that are ready to take my table. Obviously, that didn't happen in this scenario here. So yeah, I was just hoping for a little bit better response and a little bit more understanding from this guy. Obviously, we didn't get that, and then we got the nice long message. I'm going to leave this last message up on the screen here for a while, so if you want to pause it and read through it word for word, you're more than welcome to do so. I'm just going to kind of paraphrase what happened here and let you know what he said back to me. Basically, what he's saying is that a lot of other promoters make their vendors sign a contract, which is false. I've never had to sign a contract with any promoter ever, and in talking to any of them, none of them do this. But makes them sign a contract explicitly for this reason based on my actions. And so he's going to do me a favor and tell me not to worry about the table fee, but also do not worry about stepping foot on the property venue. Otherwise, I will be escorted out. And it's reasons exactly like this that many shows require payment upon reservation of tables, and he will be putting that back into place upon this incident. Which is fine. He's able to do that. And like I said, if he wants to make his vendors sign a contract ahead of time saying that if you're to back out last minute that you're still required to pay and all that, that's absolutely fine. I don't care if he does that. But telling me that I can't come there as a vendor any longer and that you're going to escort me out is a horrible decision on his behalf for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm friends with a lot of the other vendors and dealers who are now going to know about this situation. I obviously have a little bit of a following, not a huge one yet, but a little bit of a following here on YouTube. I'm friends with people on Facebook and Instagram, and I buy and sell a heck of a lot of cards. So I don't think it's the smartest reason to have anyone who's so actively involved in the community not be able to come to your shows, period. And the other side of that is if I want to even come now as a customer and provide business to the other vendors and dealers who are set up at his show, I'm not even able to do that. So again, after this last message here, I went ahead and blocked him on Instagram. I have nothing further to say to this guy. I don't want to do his shows anymore. Don't want to go anymore either. But I do think it's a very bad look for someone who, is trying to get people to sign up and come to his show instead of going to another one. Because again, we've got 4 or 5 other promoters, and we've probably got a show every week, if not every 2 weeks, here in the North and South Carolina area. So, cutting down on your business and the people that you get in the door is probably not the best idea when there's so much competition. But yeah, that's how the whole situation unfolded. I did want to share one more thing though with you as well. Just another little side note before I share this story too. Travis is actually the one who set up the Asheville show that I just went to not too long ago as well. When you walked right in the door, he had one of the first tables. It was like just off kind of to the right-hand side. I actually went up to his table and I just said, hey, how's the show been for you? Is everything going okay? Are you getting decent traffic? And we had a nice brief conversation, so everything was okay there. So, it's not like we had this prolonged thing going on where we were having trouble going back and forth and he had been, rude to me in the past or anything like that. This just kind of came out of nowhere, and it was all because I canceled this table. Now, I wasn't sure if this was just an isolated incident or if there were any other scenarios that had taken place with this guy. So I did some digging and I did some asking around to find out if anyone else had had any issues with this guy at all, and there was one person that could confirm a story. I'm going to let them remain anonymous so that we don't know who this is, but someone that I reached out to, and we had a conversation about this briefly, and apparently, so this guy, he comes to the shows, he's just strictly a customer, he does not set up, he's not a vendor or anything, but came to one of the shows that was hosted by Travis down at the fairgrounds in Spartanburg, and I guess as he was walking around, he didn't bring any cash with him, and he was trying to get some cash out of the ATM, but the ATM that was at the fairgrounds was not working. In walking around there, he had heard some people saying that if he was to go to Travis, who's the show promoter, and ask him for some cash in exchange for like PayPal or Venmo or something like that, that he'd be able to provide it. So this person goes up to him, asked him if he could do that. And Travis's response to him was that he was an effing idiot for not bringing cash to a card show and told him to go find a gas station or something with an ATM like a grown-up. Again, we have a second example of how this guy acts very childish and is not really probably the best representation of what this hobby is. Again, I've met a lot of really great people, a lot of great vendors, and some of the other promoters that I work with do an awesome job. They're very understanding, very considerate, but I don't get this vibe from this person. Again, I want you guys to tell me in the comments below who you think is right in this situation, if there's anything that maybe I could have done differently on my end. Again, not trying to just totally kill this guy's business by any means, but for myself personally, I will not be doing any more shows or visiting that card shop anytime soon. So if you haven't done this already, please go ahead and like this video, drop a comment below for your thoughts and everything. Got some more stuff for you guys that are going to pop up here on the screen. If you could subscribe, that would be awesome if you haven't done so. And I will catch you next time.